The Clown Coin, created and voiced by PJ Corona in December of 2019. I'd like to start by thanking Antoinette and Connie, my good friends. I've known them both about 20 years and have spent the last 20 Halloweens with them. They're really wonderful people, both big-breasted Mexicans, and I like that about them. Antoinette actually dressed up as a clown this last Halloween, and I got the idea for this horror audiobook from that. I hope after she listens to this book that I finally can have sex with her, and forgive both Connie and her for being Mexican. Note, this is a very graphic audiobook. If you're squeamish, if you don't like blood and guts and very inappropriate things, please don't listen. It's not for you, Snowflake, and you might be a pussy. A little about me, the author. My name is PJ Corona. I am the son of Carol Corona. I was born January 1971 here in Southern California. I have two brothers, Dan and Mark, who I really enjoy. I have a daughter, Alessandra, who I call Allie, who's 18, and she's just like me. I've never written a book or voiced an audiobook, and this is my first try. So if you don't like it, suck a dick. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran, a contractor, and a landscape designer. I really enjoy what I do. I design live in front of people in 3D. But I've always wanted to write, and I've taken a stab quite a few times. And this seems like a better fit, just to voice my ideas and then put them on the internet. I hope you enjoy this. It's very graphic, very disgusting, so you really get an idea of how my mind works. If you don't enjoy it, fuck off. As the story of gods go, there, of course, was God. And God created evil and good and all the other things in this earth. Well, when he did create evil, he created the mother of demons. Now, you can't have evil and not have good, and vice versa. So, as much as God would love to have this universe full of roses and peaches and cream and have no evil, it doesn't work that way. But of course he put parameters around all his demigods. And the mother of demons was given a few parameters. She could have sons and daughters, but limited on how many. How many, she was never told. So, when she did have a son and then a daughter, the Lord was upset. He didn't like that an evil demon had had two children. So, being God, he went ahead and put some parameters on her offspring. He actually willed them into a coin. That coin is quite famous. It has on one side a mask of someone smiling, and on the other side a mask of someone frowning. The happy side is the mother of demons' son, Hap. On the other side, the sad side, is the mother of demons' daughter, Sad. Now, these two are very mischievous and evil. So, they are only allowed out once a year, on All Hallows Eve. And on that night, they have full human form and the ability to do whatever they wish. Only for 24 hours and only on Halloween. They've been doing this since the dawn of time. And they're very good at it. So, this is the story of Halloween 2020 in Los Angeles. Now, the demons actually live in the coin the rest of the year. The coin is given to a couple or two people who happen to be of the opposite sex who are in the vicinity of the most vile and disgusting place on the planet. That's why in 2020 the coin is given to two homeless people. And let me tell you, Hap and Sad have a great time. Let me set the scene for you in this story. On a corner in the crappiest part of beautiful downtown Los Angeles, where currently 60,000 homeless people roam, mostly because we've financed homelessness, Hap and Sad are given to a roly-poly homeless man and a large-breasted homeless woman. Now, the mother of demons, although she can't take physical form, she can put that coin in their hands, which she does. As soon as the coin is placed in the hands of roly-poly and big-breasted homeless lady, they become Hap and Sad. Now Hap stands straight up and transforms into a brilliant polka dot white background clown uniform with big red shoes, a big red nose, big red lipstick, big red eyes. Of course, his eyes are black like all demons. And a big smile on his face. He's got a small red hat, and the ruffles of his cuffs and his shoes are fluffy. Now, Sad is quite different. Happy, or Hap, looks like a fun clown. Sad doesn't. Sad has an evil look to her. A sad and evil look. Dressed something out like a medieval jester, with diamonds painted on her eyes, black as any demon, of course. A sad face painted, small black shoes, tightly bound belts, and a more red type of material, close to velvet. Immediately the two hug each other, grab a stick, each of them, and proceed to find homeless people to kill. Next to them is a makeshift tent that we've all seen out of that blue tarp. These happen to be the homeless people's friends. They've been there a while, mostly talking about the Governor Gavin Newsom and his new stupid train. The two don't recognize the Hap and Sad. Vaguely, they ask them, "Hey, what do you want?" Of course, Hap and Sad giggle and then proceed to take the sticks and shove them right through their friends' mouths. After that, they seem to have found a trove of knives that their friends had in their blue piece of shit tent. They take these knives and gut their friends just like fish, stem to stern, pulling out all their guts, entrails. I think Hap really had a great time cutting off the nipples, but hey, what do demons do, right? Now Sap had a different idea. She actually really likes dismembering people, and she took a few minutes just to dismember the entire body, mostly at the joints. She started at the ankles, cutting off both the feet, then went to the knees, then the hip joints, then the arms, and then the neck. Now, Sad is quite more an artist than Hap, and she skinned both bodies, and then they placed them in the tent. Of course, Sad, a little bit of the boss here, she tended to tell or show Hap where to put the bodies. They put them right at the edge of the tent, right at the edge of the sidewalk, making what would seem to be a flesh pyramid. After this, they put all of the knives into a bag, walked about 3 steps down, found asleep another bunch of homeless people. Now in this tent, which happened to be a nice one from Walmart, there were 3 young girls. Of course, all the girls were crack addicts and were passed out. So Hap liked to shake his little bell. And the girls woke up hearing this bell, seeing this roly-poly, funny clown staring at them. Of course, they weren't amused. And one of the girls said, "Hey, fatso, find your own fucking tent. I'm not gonna fuck some fat homeless guy." Hap put his hand to his mouth as if he was laughing. One of the other girls said, "Hey, I think they've got blood on them." The third girl woke up, rubbed her eyes, and said, "Are we dreaming?" Now Sad put her hand to her mouth and looked to chuckle. Sad took a bat that was laying on the floor and smashed that girl's skull right in, spraying guts, brain guts, all over the other 2 girls, who then screamed. Hap's not a real big fan of screaming, so he just grabbed the middle girl, slit her throat, and helped the blood pour over the other screaming girl, which basically almost choked her to death. As she gargled with blood all over her face, Hap took the knife, shoved it right through her ear. She died. Again, now, Sad decided to dismember the bodies in the same exact way, starting at the ankle, then to the knee, then the hip, skinning them all, again letting Hap cut off the nipples. They piled the body again, right next to the curb. They continued this process all the way down the street until they ran out of fucking degenerate pieces of shit homeless people. That took them about 2 to 3 hours. By this time, it was 2 or 3 in the morning. And when they ran out of road, wouldn't you know, they ran into a little Halloween store. And by little, I meant a fucking giant Saban. It was going out of business, but they turned for the 1 month of Halloween into a Halloween costume store. By chance, it was already open. It being Halloween and all, this was the busiest day of the year. Now, they were bloody as all heck. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant hell, where they came from. Or at least the coin that they lived in came from. They knocked on the door, and funny enough, the tall, lanky boy that was watching the front made the mistake of opening the locked door. He opened the door and looked at the 2, bloody knives in each hand. He said, "Boy, your guys' costumes are great. Sure got up early to do all this. They both nodded and smiled. Said, we're not really open till 9 o'clock, but if you want to come in, it's just me. They both nodded. Come on in. He went ahead and let him in, locked the door behind them, not knowing that his death was about to ensue. I've got to do some work at the counter. You guys can walk around and look at whatever you want. A couple people are working because we're going to be so busy today. So if you run into somebody, just tell them I let you in. Okay? They nodded quickly and small, like children. They walked on. Again, very large Save-On. All of the Halloween costumes, Star Wars, Marvel, cowboys, Indians, feathers, not dots. Monsters, masks. They roamed, fondling all the masks, leaving blood over everything, including the carpet. As they got toward the back of the store, they noticed a fat, black-haired, goth girl who really didn't need to wear a fucking costume on Halloween. She was dressed like that the whole year. She was bent over and you could see the crack of her ass. They walked right up to the counter. Hap knocked on it. She kind of stood right up, looked over her shoulder, and saw the two. And in the wonderful, smiling voice of an angel, said, "What the fuck are you two doing in here? Did that jackass let you guys in?" They both shook their heads. "He's not supposed to do that. You guys are going to have to leave." They both shook their heads no. Then she got really mad. "I said you guys got to leave." Hap then looked, smiled, sad. He then kind of shrugged his shoulders. Sad shrugged her shoulders. He grabbed the fat cunt by her throat. Sad gutted her like a fish, straight across horizontally at the abdomen, which she had to actually cut through about 2 inches of blubber. This bitch was fat. Then up vertically. She tried to scream, but Hap kind of had his thumb underneath her jaw, one eye and her eyeball, pretty much crushing her. She wasn't dead, but holy shit was she in a lot of pain. Then Sad decided to just kind of reach in and rip out all of her guts. As she still breathed, choking, bleeding out of her mouth, gulps and pulse of blood coming out of her mouth, her nose, her eyeballs, she continued just to scrape with her knife all the organs. She went to the left first, got the spleen and the stomach, then to the left, took out the liver. Her heart still beating. She carved that motherfucker right out. Pulled it. Girl was still gasping. Crushed that fat bitch's heart right in front of her. Then, again, she proceeded to skin her after she dismembered her, starting at the ankles all the way up. There happened to be some shopping carts nearby. They piled the entire fat, goth, ugly bitch into that thing, leaving her guts there, letting them trail along a little bit, all the way up to the front. The skinny fucking idiot who had let him in was nowhere to be found, so they piled her up right there in front, putting other masks and things from the Halloween store around her so she really didn't look out of place. Then they went back, because they could tell there were a few more morons in the back. Over in one of the corners, near where all the cowboy kid stuff was a short, skinny guy dressed up like Iron Man. Really, he just had the shirt on and some colored pants, some Converse. Again, he was down on one knee, cutting open boxes, pulling out cowboy crap for the kids. Hap and Sad stood behind him with their arms folded, looking at each other, trying to figure out how they were going to kill him. He happened to have headphones in, so he didn't even know he was going to die. Hap gestured with his hand to Sad toward his head. Sap, with her clown hand covered in blood, went ahead and grabbed that Iron Man looking piece of shit by his hair, lifted him straight up. He grabbed her hand, both of his, pulling out his earphones right before he did. And yelled, "What the fuck are you doing?" Well, Hap had this idea about ripping out somebody's spine early in the day. So as he struggled, Hap took that knife, stuck it right at the base of his hip, cut 4 times, 4 nice lunges, one on each side of his spine, left on the right, just so he could put the knife in the other hand, with his right hand, grab the back of his spine, and rip his spine out from the hip all the way up, ripping his head right out of Sad's hand. His body dropped to the floor. His face stayed on. He actually gasped a little as his head was hanging upside down, his spine in Hap's hand. Sad decided to just go ahead and split him in 2 before she dismembered the rest of the body. Kind of fun. They took that body all the way up to the front and made another pile. Again, they arranged it with all of the Halloween ornaments. This one, they really had fun with the Viking paraphernalia. They put a couple hats on the spine, you know, the ones with the horns. A couple other shields. Honestly, you couldn't tell the difference between what they created and a normal Halloween store. Now, they went right back to the other corner of the store where they found a little dainty girl. She was blonde, pigtails, little cheerleader outfit on. And for some reason, none of these people ever were looking toward the front of the store, always looking at the wall or the corner. And of course, she had headphones too. She was actually not working and texting on her phone, trying to find her boyfriend or something like that. Sad decided to kind of poke her on the shoulder with her finger. She turned around and they noticed she had braces, glasses, was a skinny little fuck with no tits, and I wouldn't call her a butterface, but she sure as shit wasn't above a 5. She took out her earphones and was chewing gum. "What are you two doing? Are you looking for something? It's kind of early, isn't it?" Hap grabbed her by the throat. Sad actually had an axe now. She took that axe. Hap kind of turned to the side with both hands grabbing her neck. Sad would, what I could only do what's called a golf swing, and went ahead and just cut her right up the middle, right from the cunt. She got about all the way up to her stern. Now, of course, she let out a God-wrenching scream and was still alive, gurgling. As she did, Hap dropped her, and she was still alive when Sad stomped on her head, crushing it all the way through. Sad thought, might as well just cut her all the way in half. So she took another nice golf swing and did that. Then dismembered her again. Put her in the shopping cart and went ahead, took her all the way up the front. And since she was already dressed up like a cheerleader, they had their little cheerleader area. All the little pom-poms and pogo sticks and whatever crap they could find that matched the cheerleader's outfit, they put her in that pile. Now they had 3 distinct areas, and boy were they having fun. By this time it was probably 9 a.m. and the first couple came in. Unfortunately, it was an African American couple and their 2 little kids. The kids were probably 6 and 5, a boy and a girl. Girl had beautiful pigtails. The boy was carrying his Power Rangers lunchbox. Now, Hap and Sad don't discriminate. As they passed through the arch made of black balloons, they went ahead and just decapitated those 2 little kids right off the bat. Heads flying backwards up in the air. Their parents' eyes wide open. Then they took those axes and put them right into the parents' stomach. They both keeled over. They left the axes in their stomach and went ahead and just started stabbing them right on the back, close to their lungs. Probably 20 times each, listening to them gasp, crying. Then they laid there dead. Blood running everywhere, right at the front of the store. They then dismembered the adults, who were the parents, of course, and then the children, stacking them right next to the cheerleader. Now, Hap and Sad scratched their heads, trying to figure out what type of costumes they should put next to these nice African American family. They decided to go Indian or Native American. Made a nice little pile. Boy, there was an awful lot of blood. Now, the tall guy at the counter who had let them in walked right up to the front counter. He had his earphones on, hadn't heard a fucking thing, like every idiot else that had been in the store. They walked up to the counter, and Hap took out the coin. And he slid it right over him. The kid turned around. Of course, all these morons seemed to be looking at the wall. He turned around, looked at both of them, covered in blood, looked at the coin, reached slowly for it with his hand, and then BAM! Sad chopped off his hand. He didn't even scream. He just lifted up his hand as it gushed blood, earphones still in, chewing gum, eyes wide open. Hap decided just to decapitate him too. Shoo! His head came clean off that skinny little fuck. They decided to just go ahead and, instead of dismembering him, pin him to the wall behind the front counter. It was actually on the left as he walked into the store. So they pinned him up, left him just as he was, except they did take off his apron. Hap decided to put that on. It was Happy Halloween, all in orange letters. Of course, the apron was black mostly. They decided for the rest of the day they would pretend that they worked at the store and wait until at least 20 or 30 people had come in to go ahead and lock the door and then kill at will the rest of these sad motherfuckers. Fuckers.